assets. Okay, that's what's going to happen. Okay, well, it's not happening yet. And look, the dollar, this is the dollar index. Okay. Let me have a look at the dollar index, actually. That's quite interesting. Let me hide some of this stuff. All right. What do you see? Well, I see ranges. I always see ranges. I don't see anything else. There's no trend. There's no trend here. It's just a big range. Okay. And we're basically, what I'm seeing is that we're in the highs of a range. Okay. If you look historically, there's a very important level here. It's an SR flip. You can see it's very rough. You can see there was a little bit of support, resistance, resistance. Something was going on here, resistance. Again, it became resistance here. It went up, and now we're forming resistance again. You see that? So there's a very important higher time frame SR flip going all the way back to July 2070. We were able to go above it, but we failed to hold it as support, and now we've back tested it as resistance. That's what's happened now. So right now, as far as I can tell, the DXY has failed to reclaim a higher time frame support and resistance line into support. And then also what I'm seeing is on the higher time frame a lower high. These are lower lows. What we're putting in now is a lower high. We've lost the key SR flip. We've back tested it as resistance, and as far as I can tell on the higher time frame, we're at the top of this range. Right now we're at the top of the range. You know where we're heading? Probably down. Probably down. And then the question is, do we make a lower low or not? That's the question. We don't know that. We've just made a lower high. We could come down here and make a higher low. It's possible. And what you could be forming with the DXY, if we don't make a lower low, we'll make a higher low. And what you could be forming with the DXY, very possible, is some kind of pattern like this on the higher time frame. Yeah. But if you look at where we are in the DXY, we're in the highs. We're in the highs of this range. We've made a lower high. We've not been able to flip this line into a support line. We've back tested it. If you look at the high, this is a 3-month time frame. You can see here where the candle comes in. You've back tested it as resistance. That's your resistance line. Okay. And I honestly think that the next destination is probably down. You have a really important trend line here. Okay. And we've lost that as well in the higher time frame. Let me hide that brush stroke. Let me just change that to Golden Pocket. Do you see there's a trend line there? I don't know if you can see it. Okay. This is the trend line. We lost it there. We reclaimed it there. And then here we've come to it. Lost it, reclaimed it, lost it, and we're underneath it again. Okay. So we're underneath this trend line. Okay. We've lost this key SR flip. We've lost the key trend line. We're at the top of this range. I think it's good to go down, actually. And how far could it go? Well, let me show you. The way it works with this with candles. Do you see how you've got this bullish green impulse? This is on the monthly time frame. You haven't really created much support on the way up. Yeah, you see this red candle here? That's your support level. But you see the green candle that goes down? It's already cleared the liquidity from that level. So actually the next real support on the way down is there. That red candle there. This one is cleared. You see how the wick goes down? It clears the liquidity, and then the next level of support is at the lows here. Those are the next two levels of support. On the DXY, that's down 10%, and here it's down 14% on the DXY. Okay. If I coincide that with some kind of fib level, I've got it here. Let me see. Fib. 50% mark. I think the 50% mark is probably the area of interest, because you're coming into these lows here with some important levels. I think it's probably heading down to there. I don't think that level will hold necessarily. And in the same way that the price ascended very quickly, you're going to get a very quick descent. Exactly the same behavior. In exactly the same way. If you lose these lows because the descent is so impulsive and you just only manage to get back up, look at this ascent. This ascent was so fast as well that it's very likely that you'll descend very quickly too the second time. Just fill all of that. In the same way the ascent was very quick, it's very possible that if you lose these lows and you back test this 50% mark as resistance, that you're going to get another crazy sell-off on the dollar, and then you're just back into this lower part, which would make sense. Maybe forming some kind of higher time frame equal triangle like that. Okay, so I think in the context of what I'm seeing, I'm not really worried about the recession. I think the cycle is going to be much shorter than people expect. I think Bitcoin is doing things that people don't expect it or never expected. They didn't expect it to cross the 618 on the higher time frame before the Bitcoin halving. No one expected that. And so when you're looking at the higher time frame, I'll show you what I mean. Bitcoin has never been able to get above the 618, which is that golden pocket before the halving. Before the halving, it's never been able to get there, and it did that. Bitcoin has never made an all-time high before the halving. It's done that. So what I'm seeing on Bitcoin is a V shape, yeah, on the higher time frame. For me, that's a monthly V-shaped recovery. So actually what I'm imagining is from the neckline break to about $300,000. That's what I'm imagining. I'm thinking we're going to go up to 300,000, and I'm only looking at the log chart. I don't really care about the price chart, the normal chart. I think once you're in price discovery, which is where we're going to be now, I don't necessarily think it's going to go up in a straight line. I think the blow off top could be a straight line, yeah, and we may get the same situation. We may get like a bump and run, yeah. So let me just kind of show you what I'm thinking. We have a potential steep trend line here. I think I drew them out. Not there. Bull market trend lines there. Okay. So we have some trend lines. We might be on this steep one now. Okay. If we start ascending on this steep trend line now, you know, I don't know how we're going to go up, but let's say we just bounce off this trend line. Timings are really important, so I don't want to lose track of the timings. Let me just work out the timings actually. Okay. Let's just say we end here, okay? Beginning of March, exactly 1 year from now. That's what I'm thinking. And let's just say we're aiming for 300,000. Somewhere there. Let me get rid of this box. So what I'm thinking is this. Don't know how this behaves, but let's just say for the sake of argument we do go up. Then we lose that trend line. We'll come back into this one. This is our main trend line. And then we just follow this trend line up. Okay. And then you have a bump. That will be a bump. So you're ending up with exactly what I was talking about on USDT, which USDTD, which is like a bump and run. That's what I'm imagining actually, a bump and run forming on Bitcoin. So let me just get the image. That's the image here. Let me bring it to Bitcoin. Something like that. Okay. So you have your lead in, which is here. And actually here you'd probably have some kind of another trend line form. And here, like a steep one, taking us all the way to our higher target. As you come into bounce here, you have a crazy rally all the way to your target, and that's when you start losing value, and then you lose the trend line and you go down like that, just like this. Okay, I am kind of imagining something like that until I see something different. I'm thinking it's going to get really crazy like that, and no one can predict the future, but I think it could make sense because we are in price discovery, and the only way to follow the price in price discovery will be these kinds of trend lines, because you don't really have historic price action. Yeah, there's nothing to base, there's no volume levels, so people will be looking at these trend lines, and they will also be looking to take profit at key fib extensions and trend-based fib extensions. That's really how people will be looking at the price. And I think it's going to get really bullish, and we probably will be forming something like this. I'm thinking that way at the moment. So that's why I'm very attuned to these trend lines. That's why I'm really tracking them. I'm really keeping an eye on them. Please educate me, if someone purchased a coin and the coin went down 40%, in this case, DCA is the best strategy or something else. It depends on the coin.